Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. Let's talk about Black Phone 2. Now, Black Phone 2 is a direct sequel to the 2021 horror hit Black Phone 1 and is once again directed by Scott Derrickson. Now, this film takes place 4 years after the events of the first film, and it features returning character Finney, who is the sole survivor of the incident, as well as his sister Gwen. Now, apparently, Gwen is going through a lot of visions as well as nightmares about the murders that takes place at the Alpine Lake camp, and she's also tormented by a phone call from her mother on the dreaded black phone, who talks about the incident. And her mother happened to work as a teenager in the same camp. Now, in order to delve further into his incident, in order to get more details, the duo, along with their friend Ernesto, head on to the camp. However, they're stopped by a violent snowstorm and they're forced to lodge in the camp, and that's where the further horror in this film ensues. Now, the one thing I really liked about the Black Phone franchise is it's a very unique franchise. I mean, it does blend the elements of the supernatural horror as well as the slasher horror pretty well. Now, the first film was more of a psychological thriller. However, this film has more slasher elements to it, as there are a lot of gory kills. Now, the antagonist in this film is once again the grabber, who is played to perfection by Ethan Hawke, and this time is on a revenge path towards Finney for putting him down in the first film. Now, the dream sequences and the filmography associated with them, they're fantastic. They're phenomenal, I would say. The direction has really brought out the right kind of tension as well as the atmosphere in these sequences. And to top it all off, he has shot them in film. That brings out the more grainy, visceral, organic aspects of these sequences, and it only makes them more horrifying. It's great. I would say that's a very good choice. Now, the another thing I like about Black Phone 2 is it does not have any unnecessary subplots or any unnecessary backstories that can slow down the pacing. The pacing is fine. It's great, I would say. Now, there are many movies that are guilty of this. They have unnecessary subplots that can really slow down the film. And fortunately, this is not one of them. Now, this film, as in particular, as compared to the first film, has taken a lot of inspiration from The Nightmare on Elm Street. I mean, the dream sequences, I mean, the way the grabber goes after his victims, the action sequences, they all resemble the franchise. I mean, that's a good thing in my opinion. Now, is this film as good as its predecessor? I would say the first film had a better and a more cohesive storyline, but this does serve as a decent follow-up, and in my opinion, this is a better film. I like this film more. Now, the one thing that this film does that is unique as compared to the first film is it adds more. It gives more backstory to the grabber, and I feel that's balanced very well because it doesn't ruin its mysticism. You still want to see more of this character. Now, usually the characters we love, for example, the Joker from the Batman, we love. Why do we like him? Why do we love him? Because there's a mystery to his origins. We don't know where he comes from or why he is what he is. The same thing goes for the grabber. They gave him the backstory. That's just enough to go on, but we still love the character. We want to see more of him. So I think the additional backstory really worked well for this film. Now, the one negative I can give about this film is it cannot stand out on its own. I mean, this film cannot function as an independent film. The first film, however, can. I mean, it feels more well-rounded. Now, this film, in order to appreciate it truly, you need to watch the first film, because if you get into this film directly, you may not really truly appreciate what the characters are going through, why they're going through, what they're going through, and who they are basically. So I would feel this needs to be watched in tandem with the first film to truly enjoy the ride. Now, this film is a lot more less claustrophobic as compared to the first film. The first film mostly took place in a dark room with a black phone in it. Now, this film bursts out. It gives a more wider spectrum of action and wider scope for the events to take place. So in my opinion, that was refreshing. It's not as claustrophobic as the first film. Now, when it comes to the grabber, he's a lot more grounded in the first film. He's basically a deranged guy who goes around killing kids. Now, in this case, he is given a more supernatural twist. Like, he comes back from the dead, he starts tormenting Finney again and his company again. And that supernatural twist may not. I mean, if you are more into grounded villains with a more grounded backstory, this may not appeal to you. But that's left to the viewer completely. And of course, I'd like to give special thanks to, or rather special kudos to Madeline McGraw, who plays the character of Gwen. Now, Gwen in this film has a lot of intense action, emotional scenes that are really tough to pull off. And I felt Madeline really pulled them off perfectly and with a lot of grace. And she acted pretty well. Alrighty, guys, now that sums up my thoughts on this film. Now, I'll admit, I'm not the biggest fan of this franchise, but I'd like to see more from this franchise. I would love to see more of where the grabber goes from here and what more comes out of this franchise. Now, did you like this franchise or not? Do let me know in the comments below. And do subscribe to my channel. It means a lot to me as a growing channel. And let's save this cinema together. I'll see you soon.